Hey guys, it's Zach. Today, I wanted to talk about a subclass of weapons in Deepwoken that, despite having some of the coolest designs, have seen little to no updates since the release of the game. It's a shame, as every other weapon class has been shown some love with the additions of new weapons or talents, except for these lonely mediums. Of course, I'll be talking about clubs, and my ideas on how to rework them. Before I get started, I just want to say that I'd greatly appreciate it if you like the video and subscribe to the channel. Currently, 92% of my viewers are unsubscribed, and I can't achieve my long-term content goals without your support. If you played back in the early days of Deepwoken, you knew that for a long time there was only one club in the game, that being a mace. The mace was incredibly fun to use mid-game, as its high base damage, janky animations, and instant guard break crit created a playstyle that was incredibly fun to use. Personally, my first character rocked a mace for a long time. I always wished for maces to receive more love, so imagine my excitement when the Sacred Hammer got added to the game. Not only was it essentially an endgame buffed mace, but its design was one of the coolest in the whole game. However, since the addition of the Sacred Hammer, maces have been completely untouched, save for the Ignition Deep Crusher added more than a year ago. This is a shame, as we've seen plenty of weapons like Single Gun, Spears, and Rapiers receive weapon-specific talent trees, and yet there's no love for the club. And so, I wanted to provide my ideas on a potential talent tree for clubs, how it could differ in playstyle in comparison to a sword, and a concept for a new mace. For the club talent tree, I had some ideas in mind, but bear with me. I'm not a high-level Deepwoken PvPer, so if it seems unbalanced, please let me know in the comments. The talent tree's name would be Blunt Force Trauma. The first talent I had in mind was Overhead. For a requirement of 65 medium and 25 strength, when you block break an enemy with your critical, daze them. This would make it easier for the user to follow up this critical with another attack, as the dazed opponent would be forced to parry the next move, rather than roll away. The next talent I had in mind was Brute Force. For the same requirement, when you initiate a parry trade with your opponent, each parry will deal slightly increased posture damage. Because clubs are blunt weapons, they should naturally deal a bit more posture damage, as it's much harder to avoid the force of a blunt weapon than a slash. The last talent I had in mind was a rare talent, called Pound. With a requirement of 50 strength and 65 medium, when you land an aerial attack, apply knockdown. This would have a long cooldown, but my idea is that if you're getting hit in the head by a club, it'd knock you down quite a bit. This might be a little broken in certain circumstances, like with Spectre Path, but I feel like as long as you are more attentive to making sure you don't get hit by an aerial attack, you could play around it just fine. Now, I'm not much of a designer, but if a developer can come up with the Sacred Hammer design, I'm sure they could add more unique clubs to the game. Perhaps one with a slower swing speed, but higher damage. An idea I had in mind was just a giant wooden club, similar to what you'd find a druid wielding in D&D. If they can make it so there's at least 2 endgame rapiers and rifles that are both equally as viable, I'm sure they could do it with clubs. What do you guys think? Do you like my ideas for a talent tree, and if not, what would you do to give the clubs a little bit more love? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Like always, thank you so much for watching, and have a good one.